satellites. A satellite represents a journey, information gathering, this journey around the Earth.
Nice. Welcome, Satellite Haiku. My name's Milo.
And I'm Sean.
I was listening to Prof G, Professor Galloway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he and Kara Swisher were talking about how so many ad dollars are shifting toward podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like $1 billion this quarter came
it's
over
huge.
to podcasts. Yeah, it's huge. And that Spotify took a couple of cracks at when they paid Joe Rogan like $150 million, some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then they made a couple of mistakes where they put a lot of money on someone that just doesn't have the ad revenue. But in general, people are consuming television. They prefer to watch, shitty home recordings or, just like, or even like just very simple in a studio with two cameras, So it's interesting that we're on the cutting edge of. Just kidding.
We're on the long tail of the cutting edge.
We're on the very long tail of the cutting edge.
Very longest end of the long tail. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the whole. Who's the name of the guy that was Netflix's buyer who coined that term? He had gone to.
I can't remember. Oh, you mean who coined the term the long tail?
Yeah, I thought it was the guy.
I thought it was a Wired magazine.
I think you're right.
Journalist.
I think you're right. It's the Wired. Yeah, but he was maybe using the example of. We should. Put that
was maybe Chris Anderson. Maybe
he was the Wired editor who said the long tail.
I think so, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it could have been like Harvard Business Review, or it could have been. It was, that was the zeitgeist.
And we talked about it because, for instance, you would share, if you liked a film on Netflix, you would like sort of make that public.
Yeah.
And then you could sort of follow people that you admired their choices. So then it became this like little sub communities of people like finding movies because they liked each other's movies.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking how we had a friend who is a folk artist from Toronto originally, but and started out in the church band. We were playing together in a church band, and for many decades there was this thing called the gospel circuit.
Yeah,
and they were just families of gospel singers that would travel around to different, I guess, churches. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know much about it, but basically, they were sort of the original long tailers. Like they had this core group of people with the pre-digital long tail, whereas what gave them their audience was that they were evangelicals.
Well, I think, but the long tail, that's true. They could be a thing, and they could go around. But I think what the long tail was really referring to is how you have these sort of viable business niches.
Right.
So they carved out like one unique niche. Oh, I guess that's sort of a viable niche, right? For that whole ecosystem of gospel travelers. Yeah. The gospel circuit. Yeah.
Who was it? There's this artist. Shoot, I'm not going to be able to remember her name because I need more coffee. But you would probably remember. She had that one about Iowa. The song about Iowa. Do you remember this woman?
I'm thinking Anchorage.
No. Yeah, Anchorage was good. I'm going to look it up. I never do this.
So when you said Iowa, I got that stuff. It got popped into my head. Yeah, I don't know.
Folk song. Folks. Okay. It's got to be Greg Brown. No. Okay. Well, I'll think of her name. But anyway, she's a woman that we all had her albums back in the 90s.
Not Ani DiFranco.
No, not Ani. Well,
whatever happened to her?
She's still around. She's still around, and she's another great.
Sort of. I mean, you never hear from her really anymore. She was big at one. I don't know if she was big. She was big in our little circle.
I think
another long tail. Another long tail.
A pre-digital long tail.
Yeah.
Where she literally, Darren, my brother-in-law, introduced us to her. Said you got to come up to. He knew I was like a fingerstyle aficionado, like I liked Leo Kaki. And he goes, you got to come up to Sarah Lawrence on the train and see this woman, Ani DiFranco. She's crazy good. And she just drives around in like a little beat up Civic, like a Honda Civic with her stuff, smushed in the back. And she just she worked her ass off. Like she just toured it. She played it every night,
Yeah.
And I
She was
saw her
prolific too. She cranked out the albums. Yeah.
in
She was
1994.
a
I saw her
very prolific songwriter.
in Tucson at this now defunct space that has been torn out, but it was like a warehouse space right
Hmm.
north of on Stone. And I
Hmm.
remember there was maybe like 15 of us there, and she had some problem where her pickup, the wire there was a short. And she was like,
Mm.
"You guys, would you mind if I go in the back? I think I need like 15 minutes to fix it and I can take it all apart and put it back together. Would you mind just like talking amongst yourselves and like then I'll come back?"
Wow.
And we were like, "Yeah, we got your back. Go, go, go." And she came out and
Wow. Yeah.
kicked ass. But that was like there were 15 of us in
I mean,
this
that's
little
the
room.
definition of like a one man show, right? Like
Totally.
she was just like a one person operation.
She
Yeah.
was her own guitar tech.
Yeah.
But no, but what's interesting about the long tail thing is so anyway, this woman that I'm talking about that sang the song Iowa,
Hmm.
um, she at one point she said, "I'm not a millionaire, but I make about 200,000 a year
Hmm.
with just touring in like the Northeast,
Yeah.
and I just tour maybe like play 20 shows a year, and I have enough fans that I can fill like a fairly small,
Hmm.
concert hall in Philadelphia or something."
Yeah.
And I go to colleges, and I'm never going to be, like Michael Jackson, but I'm making a living as an artist.
Hmm.
And it seemed like she had built up this small little touring, like a niche.
Hmm.
I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're getting down to the word. The long tail is really just a niche, and I think the long tail refers to that a digital ecosystem or mapped social graph
I think it's like, yeah,
can
the
help you
fact that
find
there's a
it.
long tail just kind of means like there's this phenomenon where you can find those niches as a consumer really, like never before.
Yeah,
They can persist and survive like never before because they can find their customers or audiences or whatever. Yeah. I think,
ironically.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, ironically, the same digital technology that, for instance, iTunes or
Hmm.
Apple Music or Spotify, that has sort of destroyed album sales for artists as an income stream,
Yeah.
that also pushes them to really go touring to make money because you make more money touring.
This is a thing that I find intriguing. Like I was thinking about this. I saw Nico Case post something a couple years ago. I mean, she was sort of yeah, she was just kind of complaining is minimizing it too much. It was like a sort of a diatribe about just like the economics of music today and how they get just nothing from these streams and stuff. But I was thinking about like if you're like like a niche artist, like a Nico Case or like the New
Mhm.
Pornographers, her previous band, right?
Uh,
And you don't have you're not mainstream, you don't have a mass market, you're not a mass market act, right?
right.
And back then, like, it seems weird to me that like CD sales on that scale would be more economical than streaming. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
people go out, they buy the CD one time, you get that one time royalty payment from that one purchase, right?
Mhm.
But like, that person owns that CD now. Now, like, if I buy a CD, I own it, and now every time I play it, the person's not getting anything,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So
Huh.
like, I bought it 10 years ago, but like, so that person got that royalty thing from when I bought it 10 years ago.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if I bought it at a used CD shop, they got nothing.
Yeah.
If
The
I
same
bought it
as,
used, they got nothing, right?
yeah.
If I picked it up in the library and like ripped it onto my computer, they got nothing, right? So it seems weird to me that like that was better, that world was better economically for artists than today.
Hmm.
It just seems weird that like that one purchase like 10 years ago is somehow still better than 10 years of streaming a song, even if you get like a pittance for each stream. But what I did after, and I haven't been good about this lately. I got to get back to it. But what I did after reading that post by Nico Case is I would just stream all day long at home on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so like whether I was listening or not, I was like, I'm gonna just pick an artist for the day.
Right.
I'm
Right.
just gonna have it streaming constantly. And even though I'm working and stuff and I'm not even listening, maybe
Yeah.
I'm not even in a place where I can pay attention to it, or it's, like even if it's like, oh, I'm on a phone call, I need to turn the volume down. I wouldn't stop the stream. I just turn the volume all the way down, for my
Interesting. Yeah.
phone call or whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
like, I'm going to give Nico Case a little boost
A
today,
boost. Yeah.
a little money, a little
Because maybe the
income.
algorithm will even be like, well, Sean's just playing all of her songs, so we should recommend her to 15
Yeah.
other people.
Well, then it caught on to me. Like it would say, "Are you still listening?" Right. Like so,
That does.
I had to like re up it once in a while.
Oh, that's
But
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. There's a new streamer. I don't. It's not new. New that I learned about, called Qobuz. Have you heard of it?
No. No.
It's spelled the most awkward way, and which is part of why it probably never has taken off. But it's Qobuz. Qobuz.
Qobuz. Okay.
Qobuz, and it's another streaming service like Spotify. It's really a small player, like they're minor. But the reason I heard of them is that they came across my feed, and maybe it was even an ad, or it was like somebody kind of promoting them, and they were saying that they pay artists 6 times more than Spotify per stream. And then the other thing that they were sort of bragging about was like all of their playlists and everything are all human curated. Nothing is algorithmically or AI generated.
That was a Pandora sales point, right? That they hired.
Yeah, I think so. But like, so anyway, I was like, oh, I'll check it out, because I'm up for paying, artists more and human curated. And I'm trying to get. I downloaded it. I'm on the trial period right now. I'm kind of. I was trying to get my family to kind of have it gain a little traction in the family. It's a struggle, man, because it's just like, it has a pretty big catalog, but I've already found a few artists a few albums that I wanted to listen to that it didn't have. And I don't know, man. It's just like, they have CarPlay. It has all the things. Like I can play it in, like, it's just hard to switch. Switching costs are hard. But like I'll keep you up. I'll keep you posted. But I want to switch to something. I'd rather pay artists more and use something. I don't like Spotify as a business, right? Like I would rather use something else. Just like we've talked about this. It's hard to quit all these things. Like you're paying these billionaires, these billionaire assholes money. You're making them richer. They're making the world worse, and we're making them richer. And
on my
somehow
iCal,
we can't quit.
Later today on my iCal, there's a meeting I have with myself that says, cancel all the streaming platforms, because I kind of went through and I'm paying for like 7 of them, and I went through and I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it's time to get rid of them, because there were certain things. I got Paramount Plus to watch South Park, and it hasn't been there since September. So it's like, why am I paying?
Oh,
them?
they dropped South Park?
No, they just they were last episode of the season.
Oh, okay.
So then a year later they'll come. This summer I could pick it up. But why I used to watch Yellowstone, and or like all those like Lioness and stuff, and all of them are just done. And what's his name? The guy that wrote Sicario and Yellowstone, he's leaving Paramount Plus. He doesn't like the Larry Ellison.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's quitting. But but back to your thing. So I remember. Here's a thought: is I have this belief that I have zero data and zero ability to manipulate it, but I think there must be someone like a Robert Reich of music that could show us where did the money go? Because that's to your point, was like, how much was there during the CD era and the LP era and the tape era, and then how much went to the music companies? David Geffen, for instance, my daughter just graduated from the medical school of UCLA. Like David Geffen is like everywhere. Like, and you're like, he's a music producer. Like, how did he become a billionaire? So like the money went somewhere to David Geffen, I guess. And he had an army of artists that were working their asses off in little dirty clubs around the country, and he was making billions of dollars. So the question is like, how is the money the same? Are we all, because we're consuming the same amount of music, I think, right?
We're consuming more, probably.
More probably. Like, it's your point. Like, you leave it on all day long, which was kind of, we did that with the radio, so like maybe.
We did that with the radio. Yeah, that's true. The radio's died.
The radio died. Like, I don't listen to the radio. I listen to like NPR. That's about it. I don't listen to like music on the radio. Because you can.
I stopped listening to NPR. It's one more thing I just stopped. 100% stopped listening to during the Trump era. I was like, I can't hear that guy's voice anymore. Like it's just like an endless onslaught of total insanity, and And I
Yeah.
just
No.
like
No.
I can't listen to it.
Yeah.
I can't listen to that news. I can't. And NPR, like that was part of their pitch for money. It was like a lot of people have just tuned out of the news. I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the people who've tuned out of the news. Like I go read, as we've talked about before. Like I read my kind of I read historians and academics, and
Yeah.
they digest the news, and they sort of like, you know, like I'll see the current events through their lens, you know, processed through their lens. So like the Voting Rights Act changes or whatever, and the lawsuit in Alabama, and I'll see them talk about, and I can take it that way. I can
Yeah.
take it through that processing filter.
Yeah. No, that's a very good sort of theme of the day. As I wanted to, because you're ahead of me on what we'll call social media hygiene or news hygiene. Like I need to do that, and I'm in Santa Monica
I
trying
just
to do.
think the news media does such a fucking terrible job. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's the madness of King George plus Archie Bunker. Like it's so insane. And there's just like they don't convey that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Like
Um,
once in a while I'll just remember something. Like we were talking about the Sharpie incident, you know, him
yeah,
changing the hurricane map with the Sharpie, right?
right.
And once in a while I'll just think of something like that. And I'll just think like, that's the dumbest fucking thing a president has ever done in my lifetime, except for 100,000 other
Other
things
things
Trump
that he
did,
did. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like no other president ever did something that dumb. And that's just one thing.
I,
And so like the media, the news media doesn't convey the level we're so off the charts on how dumb everything is and
yeah,
how cruel and how incompetent. It's so far off the charts, and the media kind of just reports on it like, oh, here's the next day of weird stuff and haha, you know, whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's either sort of like a little bit haha, or they try to sort of sane wash it. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
just can't. I can't take that the the sort of cognitive dissonance between reality and the way they present reality. I just can't. That's what it boils down to. I cannot. I just can't take that cognitive dissonance between what reality actually is and the way they portray it.
mm,
I can't do it. Like it
yeah,
hurts my brain to try to that chasm between reality and their picture of reality.
yeah.
I can't. I just can't. So it's not about hygiene. It's just like I literally can't take it. That dissonance between those two things.
I have one for you that I may misunderstand a little bit, but so there was this guy that was saying, so what you know how Trump is trying to fix the reflection pool in front of Lincoln Center?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the Lincoln Memorial.
Right. Like he's just making
Well,
arches and pools and ballrooms and shit.
well,
Because what else is he going to do?
here's
Like
what
with
I
his
didn't
time?
here's what I didn't realize is that the architect who designed the pool
Mm-hmm.
wanted it to be like a dark, mysterious pond where you can't really see the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
so that the monuments would reflect in it from different angles.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Trump thinks it's old and dirty and wants it turned into like a blue swimming pool,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which won't reflect anything.
We're
Like it's not
reflecting.
it's
Yeah.
not a swimming pool. It's like a reflecting, you know, like a reflecting. Like that's as you
Yeah.
say, like with the Sharpie, it's kind of like
There's just so much dumb shit, right?
he's turning the White House into nothing against trailer parks, but he's turning it
Yeah.
into like who's the guy that he loves? That's the rapper, the
Oh, a Kid Rock.
Kid Rock. He's like turning it into Kid Rock's
Yeah.
backyard, like in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
trailer park. Like
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
it looks like that.
So I don't know. One more thing. Like I
Yeah,
was
sure.
thinking about. We don't talk about Trump and stuff, but like I was thinking about the tariffs, right?
Yeah.
And how you know, he has that total dipshit economic advisor, Peter Navarro, right?
Mm.
So Peter Navarro, the way Peter Navarro even became an advisor of Trump, I don't know if you knew this. So
Yeah.
Kushner was, I don't know if he was assigned, you know, if he was sort of given this mission or if he just took it upon himself, but he basically searched the world for anybody who had any kind of economic credentials at all who believed in that tariffs were a good thing. right? Like
Huh.
that thought that like had a thought tariffs were just like were a good economic policy, right? And so after searching the world, he found Peter Navarro, who'd written a book about, a book about, and in his book, in Peter Navarro's book,
Is Peter Navarro an economist? I know. Didn't he go to
well, sort
Harvard? I think
of,
he went to Harvard.
I don't know, but he has a book, and in his book, he cites, these studies and stuff. But the studies he cites and the economists he cites in his book are fake. Like he just
Ooh.
made up people. And not
Ooh.
only did he made up people, he was brazen enough about it. He made up people using anagrams of his own name. Like he has like Ron Varro, like,
Oh my God.
right? So this
Yeah.
is how dumb this shit is. Like nothing that dumb has ever happened in any presidency, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's just like a forgotten non-issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Or
I mean,
like the level of corruption and self-dealing that Trump does, like his stock trades and this weaponization fund that thankfully seems to have died or whatever. Like that's so far off the charts. It's so far beyond any other president ever.
yeah.
And the media just reports on it like, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. And you never get a sense from the reporting that like how far off the charts it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I get it, because if they constantly said this is so far off the charts, you just become
You're
numb to it
numb to it.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
I
definitely
don't really know what they would do differently. I still just can't take it.
it's definitely the frog slowly being boiled in the water because we have become numb to it because we just
Hmm.
roll our eyes and say, oh, another nasty thing, another corrupt thing. When's it going to end? You
Right.
know,
Another nasty thing, another corrupt thing that is so far beyond anything any previous president ever did. It's
yeah,
just like it's wild. It
hmm.
seems to be collapsing,
Does,
like
it's
imploding.
but it
Like,
seems to have been doing that for. I mean, we're 11 years into this
yeah.
elevator thing, and it seems like
But
there have been multiple times when it was, predicted that it would
the
collapse.
thing that it takes to implode, though, the thing that it actually takes.
Yeah,
So the whole reason why the Republican Party is just a rubber stamp for Trump is because they're afraid of the base, right? Like the base
in
is
the
so
primary, they're
enamored of
afraid of being
Trump.
primaried.
They'll be
That's really
primaried, right?
yeah,
Like they'll
yeah,
be beat. And you see, and you see that still as a thing, like Cassidy and
yeah,
Massey, right? They're
yeah.
out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Cornyn,
Cornyn,
right?
yep.
But at the same time, like it feels like we're hitting like a little bit of an inflection point, because there was another guy, I think, in Iowa that was Trump's guy that lost.
Mm.
Um, and his support among regular people is finally starting to hit lows that actually, like, so the War Powers Act finally passed, right? Like six Republicans or something.
Yeah.
So,
Or
I feel like these are signs that maybe the Republican Party is starting to see like, oh, wait, like he's not, like that's what will change things. That's what will change things. If his popularity disapproval gets to the point where the people who were afraid of going against him aren't afraid of going against him. That's the only thing that's held them all in line. They're afraid of going. I mean, he's got a lot of true believers around him, but he's also got a lot of people who are just, fearful of losing their little bit of power.
I guess the embarrassing, shameful thing as a country is that group that you're talking about, that's sort of the middle, sort of the normal Republicans or these independents that
Mm-hmm.
voted for him because they didn't like Biden or something.
Yeah.
That those people let all of the shit, the crypto coin and the
Mm-hmm.
Qatari airplanes,
Yeah.
all of that they don't care.
Right.
But the price of gas
Mm-hmm.
and their groceries being too high, Americans just vote on that. They just hate that their groceries are expensive. And, Europeans, the inflation was like well above ours, like
Yeah.
15,
it
20%.
does go. Yeah.
After the pandemic.
I agree. Like there's this sort of like, I don't have a lot of sympathy for the like, the sort of like the regretful Trump voter who only came to that point because they experienced some personal pain, right? Like
Right.
I don't care how many other people are miserable. Just like I saw a thing,
Yeah.
a woman talking about the Cuban vote in Florida and how the Cubans knew they were like really in favor of mass deportations, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
just didn't think it would come for them,
yeah, yeah. Of course.
right? That's exactly the thing, right?
Yeah,
Like if you are in favor of mass deportations and inflicting cruelty on people, and then you're just like, oh shit, I didn't know the leopards were going to eat my face too, right?
right. That's
Like it's hard to have any it's hard to sort of like give those people any kind of thumbs up, right? Like
yeah,
it's like, yeah, the leopard ate your face. You want to just be sort of Schadenfreude about it, right? Like
totally.
it's really hard.
This is a funny.
I
This is a
will
funny
say it
meme.
goes. I feel like it is going a little bit beyond that. There is a swath of those sort of like people leaving MAGA who like are really sickened by the Epstein files cover-ups, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's
Yep.
a
The
thing.
Marjorie Taylor
But
Greens and people like that.
right,
Yeah,
the Iran war itself just like um you know
no
the
more
fact that
foreign
we're at
wars.
war,
Yeah, why do we go to war?
right? Like not just the effects of war on gas prices, but like the fact that we're in a war that doesn't make any sense and that doesn't seem to have any exit path, right? Like that bothers people a lot, right? So there are things that go a little bit beyond personal pain that seem to move into the realm of principles a little bit
Yeah, it's true.
that are starting to have effects, I
I
think,
have
on
this
people.
funny meme that I'm going to read. Ready? So this
Yeah,
Trump voter with a "Make America Great Again" hat. He
yeah.
says, "I think he's amazing. My truck used to hold $59 of gas, and now it holds 120. I don't know how he did it, but he is amazing, and I plan on voting for him again."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there you go. Anyway,
Okay, let's stop talking about him.
so let's go back to I want to talk about the internet again and the long tail guy. There was something I wanted to remember. I was just remembering. I was thinking about old memes and old like it was, so I went to this I can't remember what it was. I was at YouTube's office for some reason some years ago.
like before they were
And
purchased or after
no,
they.
no,
Okay.
they were part of Google. They were pretty big
Yeah,
at that point. They
yeah,
weren't as, they were on their way up for sure. They had already been acquired. I can't remember why I was there, but they were giving a presentation to the group that I was with, and the person who was presenting was going through sort of the long tail of YouTube. Like they were talking using that notion of long tail, and they were
mhm,
talking about people finding their niche and like these weird little subcultures that sort of like thrive on places like YouTube. And I can't forget a couple of the examples. Like there's one of them that was the Bronies. Do you know the Bronies?
no. Mhm.
So the Bronies was like a group of grown-up men who were obsessed with My Little Pony.
Oh,
And they would produce weird My Little Pony content that was
yeah,
not really ironic. It was like
right.
it was a very weird subculture. So he showed us the Bronies, which, I hadn't heard of at that time, but like I've definitely seen it come up and pointed to, and since then. And then the other one was there was this whole collection of videos, and they were just tiny little clips, like 5-second clips, and they all said something like, well, I don't know. It could be this way or it could be that way. They all sort of had a like a 50-50 sort of theme to them.
Huh.
And like they were taken out of context. You didn't know what the actual sound was talking about or referring to, but it was like the little clip, the gist of each clip was something about like, it could be this, could be that, right? And there was and the thumbs up, thumbs down ratio on all those videos was exactly even.
Wow.
So it'd be like 5,000 thumbs up, 5,000 thumbs down, or I don't know if they do percentages or raw
Yeah.
numbers, but
Interesting.
and there was a whole subculture of people that would visit those videos repeatedly using different accounts so that if it got uneven, they would even it out again.
Weird.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. This
So
is
so like this is the extreme long tail. The internet is undefeated, man. It's just like there's stuff that happens that the internet has enabled that is kind of wonderful in a way.
yeah.
Just so strangely wonderful about like what it sort of what it this I don't even know what the right word is or the right descriptor is, but just like there's something about I don't know, like the things that give me a little faith in humanity, maybe not the bronies, but like the weird OCD with like keeping the thumbs up, thumbs down even, but like something even more, a little bit more wholesome. Just like if you want to change the oil in your 2011 Subaru Outback, right? And you're like, oh, I haven't done it in, a few years. I don't remember where the oil filter is. Do I get it from the side or the bottom? Like, what's the best way to get to it, right? You can go on YouTube and you can find 75 videos
Yeah, I do.
of people showing you how to change the oil, specifically on a 2011 Subaru Outback, right? And each of those videos has 10 views or 25 views, right? And like none of those people are doing it for the money or the attention. It's just they were like, hey, this might help somebody who has a 2011 Subaru Outback.
Right. No, I use them all the time.
And that is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. There's something that the ability to, and we've talked about like the idea that, like, for instance, the printing press. So like when before the Gutenberg's printing press, it was very expensive to copy a book. Like someone had to literally sit there and write the book out. And once the Gutenberg printing press came, it was possible to disseminate information across geographical, like the Pyrenees and across, like the things that had originally made information flow blocked and stagnant was broken. And I feel like that the internet has that same quality of the Gutenberg printing press in that information can flow, since you can search for it and someone can make something for you. Like I've made a few little videos about like nerdy camera things, like little, hey, I found this solution that I bet 500 people would enjoy or would actually utilize. And so I've made like a very quick video and then just thrown it up there and tagged it, I've never really gone back to see if anyone watched it, but you know what I mean? It's there, and it's the same gesture, like this gesture of, hey, this helped me, or I figured this out the hard way. So if anyone
pay
else,
it forward kind of
pay
thing.
it forward. Yeah, it's a pay it forward thing. I like that. That's a positive about the internet. But what's interesting is I feel like what you're talking about is sort of the golden age of the internet.
Yeah.
Back with the early Netflix and the early
true. Like that's
YouTube.
sort of the sort of like the still surviving vestiges of the good internet.
Yeah, when it was kind of just this free for all message board place where you could leave notes for people, like in a tree stump, but I can't.
No, you're 100% right, because you can completely picture some executive at Google that's just like, why do we have all this shit? Like that's not making us any money.
How can we monetize this?
Right?
Shit?
Like you could totally imagine some exec just being like, like it's costing us money to store all of this. Like, this dude has 25 likes on it. Like, why do we host this shit?
Yeah.
Right.
Could we slowly just delete them all?
Right. Like you can imagine them figuring out how to kind of phase it out somehow to save themselves money and just focus on the profitable stuff. Right. Like that's the trajectory of the internet. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And so what, in a way, what we're talking about as what's good is sort of like a vestigial, surviving, still clinging to some existence.
Do you remember there was this thing where maybe it was last year where Google decided that Chrome, if you didn't have a security certificate on your HTML pages, on your site, on your domain,
okay,
they said they were going to pop up a thing that's
like an SSL, HTTPS.
Yeah. So and there are like millions of old sites that people don't even know where they are anymore that have information on them that are now gated by this page that pops up that says you're at risk of being attacked.
Right. You're going to an insecure site or whatever.
And then you can click through usually to say like I accept the risk and I'm going to go anyway. But a lot of pro internet proponents were like that sort of gates off an enormous amount of this old content that was shared in that same sense of generosity and pay it forward, and that there's people who are now dead who posted that content and no one's managing it anymore. No one's going to like go
Right.
back. It
So
seems
it's
a
just
little
like old
unfair.
websites that nobody really owns anymore that still are hosted somewhere.
Yep.
But like, because they're not really owned or maintained, nobody's there to be like, hey, we need to pay for an SSL certificate for this website or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Interesting.
The Yoga Oasis one, I used to help. I mean, I was the kind of brand manager there for a long time. And
Yeah.
so my sister-in-law says, hey, we're getting we lost our certificate, it expired. And the process of going in manually in the back end to our own thing was like, took like an hour. And it was a pain in the ass and it wasn't very clear.
Yeah.
And our ISP
It's one of those things that like a lot of things, like changing the oil on a 2011 Subaru Outback. It's one of those things that like, if your job isn't to do IT on a bunch of websites, like it's the kind of thing like you're going to the cPanel of your website at the website host and you're like, shit, I haven't logged into this thing in 5 years, right? Like, or even longer. Like it's just sort of self-running and you have no reason to be logging in and maintaining it, or you're not adding content on a regular basis. So it's like, it's like one of those many things that like you've done it before, but it was 5 years ago. And it's like, I have no clue what my password is or what the URL is, or like, how do I even get to that? It's like you go through the learning curve every single time.
Our cPanel literally, as soon as we logged into it, it popped up and it said, this cPanel has been retired. Like you need to load the new cPanel 3.2, and then it was like, click here to learn how to use the new features. And we loaded it and it was like, be careful, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And then like we loaded it and all these things were in different places and like we couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And we were like emailing this dude on the support thing. And one thing this is like a first world problem, but one thing that annoys me is when you have like, you've got your cPanel and you're logging in as the administrator and you have a password and a username. And then you go to use the support and they want you to make a new account with like a new username. I just don't understand why you have to do that. Why can't you just, what's it called? When you secure login, when you just bring it across and you've logged in once, like why can't they fucking do that? I guess this is just a different system somewhere in, that's why.
Or just a new password at least, maybe, or something. Like, why do you have to do the whole new thing?
Yeah, it's annoying. Or like mine, typically you can't use your email as the username on the support site. But then it's weird. What I use to log into the cPanel. So it's like, it's just annoying.
Mine is like that too. It's like you use some arbitrary number that they assign you to log into this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So annoying.
I wonder why. Yes.
It makes me think of like, I've seen a few of these videos of like parodies of like the HR person describing your medical benefits. And they're like, okay, it's really easy. You just go to, you go to our website and blah, blah, blah. And then you enter your subscriber number here. But where do we get our subscriber number? Oh, that's super easy. You go to this website.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You go to your internet, whatever, your intranet.
Or,
anyway,
that's actually the consolidation of healthcare kind of divisions and companies.
Yeah.
Is so like our United Healthcare has a mental health section like on the website. But if you click on anything, it says now mental health services are run by Optum.
Oh.
So then go log into Optum, and then
exactly.
you have to. So then you go to Optum, and then it says Optum is now liveandbewell.com.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a second. So then you're like, wait, and then they're like, are you a United Healthcare Optum liveandbewell.com mental health member, like client? Click here to make a new account for liveandwell.
This is why, like, the people who are like, fight so hard against public health care, right? Or like universal health care. And you just want to say, like, are you happy with this shit? Like, when was it? And they'll be like, well, in Canada, you have to wait months to see a specialist. It's like, have you ever tried to see a specialist for anything in the US? Like, you wait months. That's how it works.
Dude, I just scheduled my physical in April. Yeah. And you text through and she goes, go to our website and pick it. And it had like one of those like Airbnb calendar maps. And so it said like, pick a day that you want your physical. So I picked Monday, like the next Monday, because it was open.
Yeah.
So then she texts back and she goes, oh yeah. That thing that we don't really use that. So
we don't use that.
We don't use that. But she goes, but the latest one I have for you is like July 27th. And I was like, wait a
We
second,
don't use that.
you
Yeah.
just told me I could,
Oh
you
my
told me
God.
to go to the website to make an appointment.
Yeah.
I clicked on the first open one, which was next Monday. And
Hmm.
then you texted me back and said, that's not
You can't
available,
use our website to make appointments,
which I
is
just told you
basically
to
what
use. She was like, go to the
was
website to make an
basically what she
appointment.
said. Yeah.
So she
Oh
was,
my
maybe
God.
that's to get it started. Like if you click, I want an appointment, then she puts it in, like
They
it's like
just
a
want you to,
ticket.
they just want people who've demonstrated that they want it badly enough.
Yeah. I think it's some MBA got up
Yeah.
and said, you guys are doing everything. You have no way of gathering data on your whole business. So we need to force the
Yeah.
customer to like
To
click
go
on the
through this
wrong
system.
thing to
Yeah.
start a ticket, which then you
Oh
can
my
like manage
God.
the ticket.
I saw a guy on TikTok the other day who was talking about how United Healthcare denied like uh, whatever coverage for he had twin boys in the NICU,
Oh,
and like it cost tens of thousands of dollars, and then United was like, we're not paying for it, right? So he's like, it's one thing, it's one thing to be denied, but and then he goes, the icing on the cake was they sent the denial letter to my infant son, and then
oh,
he shows it, and it's like the envelope is like addressed to baby A.
oh,
And then he got another one addressed to baby B.
oh my God. And what was it denied for? Like what? I mean, it
I
seems like
don't know.
he.
He didn't. I don't remember, but he was just talking about the absurdity of the whole thing. I don't know. So yeah, the people that sort of defend this system, and they're like, well, the government's bad at stuff. It's like, well, have you done anything with a private business ever? Like when was the last time you tried to call Comcast to like deal with something, right?
Right.
Like they all. Do you think they just have this weird fantasy that like private business just works better?
I worked with
But
a
then if you
billion
like literally
dollars.
asked any of those people, like when you tried to, do you love your airline, that you fly? You love airline. Do you love your cable provider? Right? These are private businesses that you deal with. It's like people hate them.
Yeah.
People hate
Well,
those things. And it's just like, that's what you think that's somehow the government is bad at stuff, but you hate all the things that, anyway, I don't know. It's just like the double standards people have.
about 5 years ago, I heard this guy who was an economist talking about why he liked capitalism.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're talking about like late stage internet, late stage capitalism.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
we're I don't know if it's you know if it really, so a lot of this stuff isn't relevant anymore because I don't think we really have capitalism at
No,
this
we
point.
don't.
We don't.
No,
So,
no.
but his whole thing was what's great about capitalism is the extremely quick feedback loop that if you do a shitty job
Hmm.
and there's competition or you charge too much, people
Yeah.
just immediately go to the better one and the more efficient one and the more, and he goes, but he goes, where it starts to fall apart is, for instance, in the medical field, like you can't
Yeah.
shop around for a doctor. Do
No,
you know how hard it is
no,
to get a fucking doctor?
no. As soon as you have a like the capitalism stage that we have leans so is really it all trends toward monopolies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which the antitrust laws were busted back in like the 1890s. Remember
right.
all the big trusts, and then Roosevelt did a whole bunch of trust
Yeah.
busting. I think it's just always
It
going to
goes in
creep back.
cycles.
Yeah, it's always going to
Yeah.
creep back
It's like
in.
it's the natural inclination of capitalists to want to tend toward monopoly. And it's one of those guardrails that the government kind of institutes once in a while and then gets dismantled and then gets reinstituted, right? It's been a secular thing. I think
I've always
Peter Thiel was I just read the book Empire of AI, which is a phenomenal book by Karen Howe and it kind of follows it follows the kind of the arc of OpenAI right around the time it's sort of the central episode of the book is when Sam Altman, remember when he was fired for 5 days and then
Mhm.
reinstated?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like that's sort of the central arc, the central sort of episode of the book, and it kind of just is, it's really about the AI industry, but it's using Sam Altman as kind of an avatar for like, this sort of totally sociopathic, untrustworthy dude, who was fired for those reasons and then reinstated because there's sort of a cult around him. And then what's interesting is so many people came later to this sort of this realization, like, oh shit, like everybody was like, a lot of people left the company that were like, yeah, whoops, I fought to have him reinstated, and I was wrong. Anyway, but what I was gonna say is shit, I forget what we were talking about.
Late stage everything. Like we're no longer in a
Oh yeah, Peter Thiel. So like
Peter
the
Thiel,
beginning
yeah.
of the book, it talks about it has some bits about Peter Thiel and monopolies, and he gives these talks at Stanford, and he basically, and I'll find the quotes, but he has these little snippets of his talks where he's talking to the business students at Stanford, and he's telling them, like, he's kind of advocating for monopolies. And his argument basically is monopolies are the best, like we should all hope for monopolies. Monopolies are what you want. And then he kind of just has a sort of almost under his breath, it's like, oh yeah, it's terrible for like people and consumers and the public. But like if you're the owner of the business, that's what you want to create.
Well, I mean,
right. And so he's talking to the business students. It's like what you want to build is a monopoly.
Vanderbilt,
What
Carnegie,
you want to aim for
Mellon,
is a monopoly.
Frick, John Pitcairn.
It's just kind of just like the funny, I don't know. It's just like the strange disconnect of like, I don't know. This is kind of almost under his breath, acknowledging like, oh, it's shitty for the world.
He moved
it's great for you.
He moved to Buenos Aires with his husband and his 2 kids. He bought a $12 million mansion, and he's giving. Guess what he's doing for a gig?
What?
He's giving lectures to Argentinian business leaders on the Antichrist.
Nice.
Because what do you know? His version of the Antichrist is this weird thing about like not utilizing AI to kill everyone. It's like that's the Antichrist.
Yeah.
I'm glad
these guys don't know how to. These guys don't know how to human.
I know.
Like Argentina is an interesting one. Javier Milei, and it's just like it's the sort of the cauldron crucible of like the Murray Rothbard school of like the Hayek's Bastards we talked about a while back that I read, and Murray Rothbard is sort of like the sort of the key thinker of that whole movement of.
Are they at all related to the Chicago boys that fucked up Chile under Pinochet?
Yeah, Hayek. That's the Hayek School of Economics, I think, in Chicago. Yeah, and so
when we say the Chicago boys
Hayek,
who in the '60s really fucked up Chile with Pinochet,
right. Yeah, I think that's the Hayek. I think the Chicago School of Economics is the Hayek one, not the Keynesian one, right?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
I can't remember.
Interesting. So that that whole idea of Javier Milei, who's another crazy motherfucker. Like he talks to his dogs. He had his dogs cloned.
Totally.
And then talks to them and asks for advice. It's like
people
Ronald Reagan
want these crazy cult figures as their leaders,
which does seem fairly like on brand for humanity in terms of like the history. Like we were talking about, like eventually it seems like the feudal system where you get a castle with a moat and then people paying tribute to the owner of the castle, but he protects you. Like that model seems to be where we end up unchecked without.
I think
like,
if you foment
effort.
enough discontent is sort of burbling in the population, enough grievance and discontent, and you basically end up with a population that says all of the institutions that exist are corrupt and incompetent, and so then at that point you have ripe, it's the conditions are ripe for a crazy person to come along and be like, only I can fix it.
Right.
I'm going to tear it all down. And people are like, yeah, tear it all down.
Professor Galloway scares me sometimes because he'll rattle off these comparison figures. Like he'll say, we're at, XYZ level of income disparity, which is like 0.7% away from what started the French Revolution.
Yeah.
He'll just say things like rattle off like stuff like that, and you're kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, like it does feel a little bit like if it gets bad enough, like the oligarchs take more and more and more, and this section they just jumped ahead with Trump
Yeah.
because they all showed up behind him. That it
Right.
feels like I don't want there to be a bloody
One, they
revolution,
personally
but
don't feel any incentive to do anything different. Like they're like, we'll take it all while we can.
yeah. And I can always like Peter Thiel's reason to go to. He literally stated, "I'm
Yeah.
moving to Argentina because I feel uncomfortable about what's happening in America."
Yeah.
Which I don't. What does that mean exactly? Like we don't have enough Antichrist,
It means
or
there's conversations about potentially taxing them. That's what's happening.
that's it. No, he left. He
Like
left
that's
California.
literally all it
Yep.
is. It's like
Yep.
there's some chatter about possibly figuring out how to tax these guys.
Like Mom
I mean, you
Donnie.
see Bezos on TV talking about like you could tax me. It's just funny because you could cut Bezos's whole net worth in half, and he'd still be $100 billionaire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't meaningfully change his existence at all,
No.
or his great 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 grandchildren. Like they're set. So it's just weird how aggressively guys like that fight for every last penny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
It is strange.
you could just say you could threaten Bezos with a 50% wealth tax, not an income tax, but a 50% tax on his net worth. And you're just like, you could just be like, we're going to take half, right? And it would be the most, like, it would be beyond egregious in his mind. And it would
Right.
terrify every billionaire. Like, they would be running for the hills. They would be declaring war. Like, it would be a global trauma if somehow there was this proposal out there, a serious proposal to just take half their money. But the reality is you could take half their money and it wouldn't make a fucking difference in their lives at all.
Yeah.
And that's what's weird about how much they fight for this stuff.
Yeah. It's
You know,
true.
like we've decided as a society, it's more important to find ways for them to find ways to allow them to hoard more wealth, to make another 100 million here and 100 million there. We've decided that it's more important to figure out how to loosen the the system to enable them to hoard more wealth than to figure out how to use wealth for the system.
Mm-hmm.
They go like, we have money floating around, and it's like, oh, what's the most important thing we can do with the money that's generated in the economy? Well, the most important thing to do is to figure out how to make it easier for them to build a wall around that additional money.
Hmm.
That's what's most important.
Yeah.
Like roads are less important than that. Healthcare is less important than that. Everything's less important than that. The most important thing is to enable Bezos to make another 100 million.
My daughter, who just graduated from med school, the first year had to take a history of American medical, sort of a history of American medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they go over is that during the New Deal, Roosevelt wanted to do single payer.
Yeah.
And the insurance companies lobbied like crazy to keep it private.
Mm-hmm.
But up until I think in the 1970s, maybe under Nixon, it was illegal to have, for instance, like a hospital or a medical clinic that wasn't a nonprofit.
Hmm.
Like there was now, like, investment firms, like, venture capitalists and hedge funds can buy like medical clinics around your neighborhood and just like buy them. And like you didn't used to be
close
allowed
the ones that are not profitable.
Yeah.
In the rural areas, right? It's like, oh, that one's not making enough money, so we're just going to close it. Yeah,
right,
it's crazy.
which is crazy. And I to be perfectly honest, I'm not. Obviously, we weren't thinking or listening when under Nixon because we were like 5 or something.
Yeah.
But why do you think that it would have changed? Like why would we let it change? Why would
I don't know, and I don't really know why corporations would have like, I don't really understand, and somebody could probably explain it, like why major companies wouldn't want public health care. Like, why would they want it to be their responsibility to cover their employees? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was my point too. Is that like, is like,
I mean, I feel like I've read the explanation before, and there's a reason, but like it doesn't make any sense intuitively.
it doesn't at all. And like for instance, I use the example of it was my two daughters and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the Roche Healthcare, so Roche Diagnostics. It was an Arizona plan, and we only had 1,500 employees, so it
Yeah.
was fairly small group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you couldn't do it by like the nation. You couldn't do like a national plan for Roche employees, and there's like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100,000
Right.
employees, but
Right.
it was only 15 of us, 1,500 of us. So
Mm-hmm.
they were paying $27,000 a year
Mm-hmm.
to United Healthcare
Yeah.
to cover me
Yeah.
and my kids, right?
Right.
And I remember saying like, if
Like, why would they sign up for that?
why wouldn't they lobby like hell to say
Totally.
just tax him
I
that money and then you know what I
uh-huh.
mean, like, and then
Totally.
make give
I
him
don't
his
get
own
it.
thing.
Like, I
It
don't
doesn't make any
get
sense.
I don't get why every major corporation doesn't lobby for public health care except for insurance companies.
Right. Because what's really bizarre about it is that one of the things that they would complain about, they would do two things. They'd say, hey, we're going to brag about your benefits. We have
Yeah.
dental, we have eye care.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to pay this, HMO. And then
Yeah.
they would say, every year they'd announce like, wow, they just raised the cost of insurance
Yeah.
like by 7%. Like it's not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't anywhere near pegged with inflation. And
Mm-hmm.
people were like, why did it go up? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? It doesn't make
Right.
any sense. And why wouldn't corporations just
when you
lobby
think
like
about the
hell?
incentives built into that whole system too, you basically have doctors who are being incentivized, hospitals and care providers who are being incentivized to prescribe and prescribe care that's not really needed, right? Like
Right.
to order tests that aren't needed, to order,
Yeah.
right? Like if you go into that hospital, it's in the hospital's interest to try to get you to pay as much, like
Yeah.
to have as many tests as possible, right? It's not about your health. It's like, oh, well, he broke his arm. Well, we better give him, he might have a concussion. So we should,
Right.
he says he didn't hit his head, but we should check anyway, right? And so it's in their interest to do that. So then on the other side of that, then it's in the insurance company's interest to be like, the insurance companies are aware of that. So they're like, oh, the doctors are all trying to order too many things. So we gotta then they overcorrect,
Right.
right? And they deny like babies who are in the NICU, right?
Right.
And so and so you have this totally perverse, fucked up incentives on both sides of that equation that you could get rid of.
Have you ever? The other thing is like the MRI at
Yeah.
hospital A versus hospital C is vastly different price. Like they're not pricing it in like a marketplace. It's not
Yeah.
competition because they know
Or
that
there's
you're not
like
going to be like.
if you're covered by insurance price versus the discounted price if you don't have insurance.
Right.
That
I've
kind of
had
thing
that too. Yeah. Yeah. Like I was at my doctor years ago and I had
It's
major
like,
medical.
oh, well, your insurance didn't cover it because you haven't met your deductible, so it's $9,000. It's like, but if you didn't have insurance, it would only be $1,000.
Right. Yeah. No, I've actually had the opposite where I was at my doctor and I was paying out of pocket for just like for a physical.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, hey, are you going to use your insurance? And I said, well, I have major medical, so until I reach a certain amount, I have to pay out of pocket. So then she goes like, and this was back in like the late 90s or something. She goes, that'll be, $89. And I said, just how much would it be if I had insurance? And she goes, the last person, it was 67. And I was like, why am I paying more? She goes, well, because the insurance companies beat us up and force us to take that amount. And I was like, well,
I see.
But I don't have insurance.
Right, but like it wouldn't. So the way it usually works is like if you have insurance, it's like $900, but you pay 60.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You pay 67, but the actual bill is 900.
Yeah.
But if you don't have insurance, they charge you $89 and that's all it, like that's the whole cost.
I see.
And so like and so you have these weird situations where people go into the doctor and they're like they get a bill for $2,000 and they're like what the like, and they'll see on the bill it'll be like, oh, the no coverage discount if you don't have insurance, it only costs $200, and you're like, why am I paying $2,000 for this? And then you're like, and then people say to the hospital like, can I cancel my insurance? and pay the $200 one?
Totally right.
And they're like, no,
Oh.
you're covered already, so you have to pay the 2,000.
My wife had an eye
And
issue.
like once you meet your deductible, it's still $2,000, but you as a patient pay, $50 or whatever your copay is or whatever. But the bill is $2,000. It's just like the insurance company's paying most of it.
Oh, by the way, like one thing that people don't really, one detail about Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act is that screening, like insurance companies had to pay for screens.
Yeah.
A breast mammogram or like when your blood screens and stuff on a physical, but the moment that I asked my doctor during the physical, she said, "Is everything fine?" And I said, I have this kind of, when I get up, I have this pain in my hip and my toe really hurts. And so she sent me to get radiology, like to get a, thing. The moment that you ask a question about what might be the problem, it's diagnostic. And they don't cover you have to pay it.
Oh my God.
Like, so in other words, like that comes out of your deductible. You have to pay it until you reach your deductible because you asked a question.
You should make them role play and be like, hey, pretend.
Yeah, right. But I didn't know that then they said, oh yeah, then I was complaining at the desk and the woman's like, yeah, did you ask her a question? And I was like, yeah, I did. And she goes, yeah, the moment that you are curious about something, she has to diagnose it for you. And it's no longer part of your screen. So it's a
That's why
separate
you should
bucket
start with
of money.
like, hypothetically,
I have a
if
friend.
you were to diagnose this, like
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
diagnose it, but
Don't
like
diagnose-
hypothetically.
Like I think I was 49
Yeah.
and I had some, like some gastrointestinal bleeding from taking this
Mhm.
really nasty antibiotic.
Okay.
And so I went to my gastroenterologist and he goes, ooh, 49, like, because it's $500 for the GI exam. But if it's a screen, they cover it because you're 50.
Mhm.
But he goes, but because you have bleeding and you told me that you had bleeding, I have to call it a diagnostic. So I had to pay the $500, even though it was 1 year before the screen. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, couldn't you just do the screen? And he goes,
Yeah, all
well,
this shit is
you
so
asked
dumb,
me about
right?
the
Like it's
blood
so
and
dumb.
yeah.
People who come here from other countries are just like, what the fuck? This is so dumb.
It's really dumb. It's so dumb.
Anyway,
And,
I guess we should.
and when you ask that question, like, how did we end up here? Like, why did we? And that goes back to, lobbyists and under the New Deal, they, FDR did a lot of cool shit, but he couldn't pack the court, which, and back to my point, anytime we ever mention the court, I want to say that like having the court be 13, it's because we had 13 federal districts and each Supreme Court justice is meant to sit at the head of that district. So it's not like a partisan thing. We should have kept up with the population increase. And we did with the districts, we just didn't with the court, with the justices. And that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's just dumb. That was whoever's fault it is. Whoever should have done it the first time. The first time we needed a 10th judge, right? I guess you had to have 11 because you needed a tiebreaker. But the first person who didn't expand it to 11 is deeply at fault for fucking up democracy, in a lot of ways, I think. Let's find out who that is and just, burn them in effigy.
Right. We'll dox them.
We'll dox them. What is it? Historically,
and we'll make some mean tweets about them.
We'll make some
that'll do it.
Mean tweets.
Mean excretes. All right, my brother. We should call it, I think.
Let's call it.
Call this patient.
Call this patient. You mean it's coded?
Yeah, coded.
It's passed on to a better place.
Yeah.
Cool. Satellite Haiku, thanks for listening, everyone.
Peace. Satellites? A satellite represents a journey, information gathering, this journey around the Earth.